This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
In today's fast-paced digital world, Google search has become the useful sidekick we never knew we needed. With just a few keystrokes, the world is quite literally at our fingertips, allowing us to uncover everything from hilarious cat memes to the complexities of quantum physics. It's so ingrained in our daily lives that it's become a verb. Just Google it, we say, expecting to get exactly what we need. Or at least, that's the hope.
But the magic has a twist. Studies show Google shapes our views by controlling what we see. Did you know Google manages about 6.3 million searches every second? That's more than 9 billion searches a day. And people generally trust these results as accurate, though they're not always spot on. There have been goof-ups, like Google's AI, suggesting eating rocks might be a good idea. Not exactly a health tip you'd expect. This happens because Google's algorithms sometimes prioritize what's popular rather than what's true, which can amplify misleading content. One big factor here is Google's personalization feature. It's designed to show you search results that match your behaviors and location. While that sounds cool, it risks creating echo chambers where you only see viewpoints that match your own and omitting others. Google claims it offers unbiased results with access to diverse viewpoints and helpful tools for evaluating information. Despite efforts to reduce bias, experts remain concerned about Google's impact on the information we access.
What Google is essentially is a gigantic compression algorithm. And what a compression algorithm does is look at a very complex environment and simplifies it. And that's what you want when you put a term into a search engine. You want all the possibilities sifted so that you find the one that you can take action on, essentially.
So when you want to find something, a term, a person, do you Google it? It's really fast, no doubt about that. But are you getting the best answers to your questions?
The algorithm that they use to show us search results, it was written for the precise purpose of doing two things which make it inherently biased. And those two things are, number one, filtering. That is to say, the algorithm has to look at all the different web pages it has in its index, and it's got billions of them, and it's got to make a selection. Let's say I type in, what's the best dog food? It has to look up all the dog foods it has in its database and all the websites associated with those dog foods. That's the filtering. But then it's got to put them into an order, and that's the ordering. So the filtering is biased because why did it pick those websites instead of the other 14 billion? And then the ordering is biased because why did it put Purina first and some other company second? It would be useless for us unless it was biased. That's precisely what we want. We want it to be biased. So the problem comes in, obviously, when we're not talking about dog foods, but when we're talking about things like election.
Using Google search today isn't as good as it used to be. It became much worse, and many times it can be pretty frustrating. When you're looking up something simple or popular, it works just fine. However, if your search is a bit complicated, things can go downhill fast. Have you ever noticed how Google just decides to ignore some of the words in your search? It seems to show results for what it thinks you meant, rather than searching just for your exact words. It also looks for similar ones, which can lead to confusion. So when you're searching for something specific, Google might miss the mark, giving you results that totally ignore what you asked for. A team of scientists in Germany wanted to know if there's any truth to the idea that Google search results are getting worse. They found Google often gives more visibility to sites with affiliate links, choosing to show results that can earn money rather than the best ones for users. This means Google might be prioritizing its profits over what people really want to see.
Have you had a hard time finding what you're looking for on Google search this year? Because if so, you're not alone, and I'm right there with you. Google search has been the gold standard of internet search engines for over a decade now, and I'm very heavily reliant on it and used to it and its quirks and its bugs and in and out. But a new study by German researchers have found that Google search results is actually getting worse because they're getting plagued by SEO spam, which again is pretty much my exact experience. If I go to look up a product or a vitamin or a medical thing or anything that can be bought and sold on the internet, even if it's just the basic researching phase, all Google will show me is tons and tons of sites and videos and reviews by people that have SEO'd super hard to get their product up there in the listing or just ran an AI algorithm to completely spam stuff. So this was a study that came from German researchers at Leipzig University and Bauhaus University in Weimar. I hope to God I'm saying those correctly. But the researchers posed the question, is Google getting worse? And they examined about 7,400 product review queries on Google, Bing, and DuckDuckGo. And what they found is that a torrent of low-quality content, especially for product search, keeps drowning out any kind of useful information in the search results, and that most of the search results were outright SEO product spam. They did want to note that to some extent this problem lessened or got better over the course of their year-long experiment, but in general, not only Google, but a lot of search engines are trending downhill in usefulness because of the sheer volume of SEO spam going on, which is kind of a shame because when people can't use Google to search, they're going to go probably to social media, and God only knows what you're going to find there.
Most users start with a Google search, but rarely click beyond the first 5 links, while very few venture past the first page. Businesses know if they're not on page 1, they might as well not exist. This is where SEO, or search engine optimization, comes in. An entire industry focused on creating content that ranks high on Google and other search engines. Companies invest heavily in SEO to ensure their content meets Google's criteria and stands out online. However, this raises concerns about fairness, as businesses with more financial resources might have an advantage in ranking higher. This scramble for the top spot shows how much the inherent bias in search engines can sway public opinion and influence consumer choices. Just ask Foundum, a small UK startup that battled Google and won in a significant legal case. They accused the tech giant of manipulating search results to its advantage.
Adam and Siobhan Rapp are from Crowthorne, Berkshire, and back in 2005, they gave up everything to start their own business, which was a price comparison website called Foundum. Both of them left their jobs to start this website, which was the top price comparison site in the UK. The website was designed to reach parts of the internet that Google couldn't reach. This concept was something that no one had thought of before, and the Rapps decided to nosedive into it. With their website, you could look up anything, property, flights, TV sets, and then compare the prices and choose the cheapest option. But the Rapps soon started to notice that something was up. When they searched Foundum using Google, it became obvious that Google was demoting their website. The question was the most valuable company in the world doing this to them on purpose? The short answer is yes. It was. The issue was an algorithm that was designed to root out spam and target websites with a, quote, lack of original content. Foundum would rank #1 for a search, but then the next second it would be so far down the page you wouldn't even see it. This is really problematic for a business that's a website that relies on Google searches for traffic. The couple tried reasoning with Google and sent them legitimate complaints, but that achieved nothing. Even when Foundum was named the top price comparison website in the UK, Google refused to respond to the issue with their algorithm. Adam and Siobhan were forced to sell their software to websites like Bauer and IPC Media. They also found that Google was promoting their own price comparison website and de-ranking its competition, and that included their website. That's when they decided to take legal action against one of the biggest companies in the world. 11 grueling years later, and the Rapps fighting had finally paid off. The European Commissioner for Competition said that Google abused its market dominance, and she awarded the couple 2.1 billion British pounds. That's close to $3 billion U.S., and it's the biggest antitrust penalty ever given to one company.
Google has been tangled in various legal battles over the years, especially on grounds of antitrust, privacy, and intellectual property. The U.S. Department of Justice and others accuse Google of maintaining monopolistic practices, particularly in its search and advertising businesses, arguing it suppresses competition and harms consumers. In August 2024, a U.S. judge ruled Google broke antitrust law by spending billions to create an illegal monopoly as the world's default search engine. Then, on November 20th, the U.S. Department of Justice filed court documents proposing Google sell its Chrome browser to end its alleged search monopoly and default search deals with Apple and Mozilla, possibly affecting their revenue. The proposal's aim was to promote market competition and prevent Google from favoring its own services while opening its ad business to competitors.
It's clear. While Google search remains an essential tool, it's not without its flaws. We must stay critical and aware of the limitations and potential biases that come with using such a powerful tool. So the next time you hit that search button, just remember to take a step back and think a little more critically about the results you find. Have you ever wondered if the fish on your plate is truly what you purchased? Seafood mislabeling is a surprisingly common issue where the fish you buy doesn't match what's on the label. This is concerning for the health and safety of consumers and the sustainability of our oceans.
Mislabeling can occur at any point in the supply chain, from the boat to your plate. The fish could be incorrectly identified or intentionally substituted with a cheaper or more readily available species. According to Oceana, the largest international ocean conservation organization, seafood mislabeling can hide contaminants, pathogens, and allergens, posing health risks. Ciguatera poisoning, often from large reef fish, is more common with seafood importation, causing symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, and severe neurological effects lasting weeks. Mislabeling farmed fish as wild can expose consumers to antibiotics and dyes absent in wild fish, with farmed salmon often having more contaminants. Antibiotic misuse in fish farming can lead to resistant bacteria, as seen in catfish. Allergens in mislabeled seafood are dangerous, with fish and shellfish among the most common food allergies in the U.S. Studies show tilefish is sometimes mislabeled as red snapper. This is concerning because tilefish can have high mercury levels, making them unsafe for pregnant women and children.
7 most fake seafoods in the world. 1. Scallops. There are many kinds of scallops. Cheaper ones are often mislabeled as expensive ones. King scallops are often Japanese scallops. 2. Cod. Cod is often replaced with pangasius. It's a cheap shark catfish, widely farmed in Vietnam. It's also used to substitute sole and haddock. 3. Tuna. A frequent substitute for tuna is escalar. It's a hard-to-digest oilfish. 4. Red snapper. A common stand-in for red snapper is tilapia. It has lower levels of nutrients. 5. Lobster. Many restaurants use whiting in lobster dishes. It's a cheap fish that tastes vaguely similar. 6. Caviar. Fake caviar is made from sturgeon farming waste. Sometimes it's just fish products shaped into orbs. 7. Crab. Crab meat is often replaced with surimi. It's imitation crab, made from whiting.
A Guardian Seascape analysis looked at 44 studies with more than 9,000 seafood samples from restaurants, seafood markets, and supermarkets in more than 30 countries. The analysis found 36% of these samples were mislabeled, showing widespread seafood fraud. DNA analysis reveals high rates of mislabeling, with one study finding about 40% of fish labeled as snapper were misidentified. In Germany, 48% of king scallop samples were actually Japanese scallops. In Italy, 45% of shark fillets were misrepresented, often with less popular species. It's not just a taste issue. Sometimes endangered species are involved, as seen in a UK study where 70% of snapper samples were from other fish, some potentially endangered. Mislabeling is often intentional, with low-value fish substituted for high-value species to increase profits. Studies show 1 in 3 in Europe sold mislabeled seafood, with Spain, Iceland, Finland, and Germany having the highest rates, between 40 and 50%. Often, consumers order one type of fish only to receive a completely different species, such as a cheaper pangasius instead of pricier whitefish options.
Most fish at sushi restaurants is mislabeled. You've probably heard about imitation crab used in sushi, but sellers may also pass off cheap fish as more expensive species. The conservation group Oceana conducted DNA testing on seafood samples from 674 American retailers and found that 33% of fish were mislabeled. The problem was even worse when they looked at sushi restaurants specifically. Out of 118 sushi bars surveyed, 95% sold mislabeled fish in one form or another. It's especially likely to happen when you order tuna or snapper. Just over 70% of sushi sold as tuna was actually a different fish, and a stunning 92% of sushi sold as snapper was illegitimate. It's a safer bet to order salmon, as only 18% of the salmon Oceana tested was fake.
Seafood is one of the most traded food commodities worldwide. There's a financial incentive for sellers to pass off cheaper fish as more expensive varieties and to launder illegally caught fish. This creates a ripple effect throughout the ecosystem, as overfishing of one species can lead to imbalances and harm other marine life. A 2020 study found 8 to 14 million tons of fish are caught illegally each year. This fish laundering often involves illegal, unreported, and unregulated catches by foreign vessels off the coast of Africa, Asia, and South America. These catches are processed on large ships where legal and illegal fish are mixed and mislabeled. Due to weak monitoring and transparency in the seafood supply chain, the risk of being caught is low. The global nature of fisheries makes it difficult to enforce strict legal actions against companies involved in labeling fraud. Tracking fish from ocean to plate is complicated, as they often pass through multiple countries and may be mislabeled or renamed to increase profits.
That fish and chips, fish fillet, or sushi you purchased at a restaurant or the grocery store may be an imposter. Researchers analyzed hundreds of seafood products in Calgary and found 1 in 5 were mislabeled. Other researchers have observed this phenomenon across Canada in the past. This is a big deal because more often than not, the substitute product was lower quality, so people were overpaying. In other cases, the actual fish species was endangered or protected, and the consumer had no idea. But the most concerning cases involved creatures that weren't even allowed to be eaten in Canada, sometimes with serious health implications, masquerading as something else. Their recommendations for reducing the amount of mislabeling you encounter: order seafood items with a head-on, or from places that can show proof that what they're selling is what it's marketed as. Certified products are also less likely to be fishy or problematic.
Beyond health and environmental concerns, seafood mislabeling harms consumer trust. It misleads buyers who want to make ethical and sustainable choices, disrupting fair market practices. Addressing this issue requires stricter regulations, better traceability systems, and increased consumer awareness to ensure integrity in the seafood supply chain.
Today we join UNN Field Messenger Susan. on a winter mushroom foraging expedition in Sweden, where she will explore, collect, and cook wild mushrooms.
Hello, this is Field Messenger Susanne from Sweden. Currently, I'm on an island called Runmarö out in the Stockholm archipelago, and I'm on the hunt for mushrooms. And I just found a spot. Now, picking mushrooms, it's important that you only pick the ones you know. I know these for sure. These are edibles. In Swedish, they're called autumn chanterelles. Chanterella tubiformis is an edible fungus, as I said. And it's also known as yellowfoot, winter mushroom, and or funnel chanterelle, because you can see there's a small funnel. Usually when you find a spot, you just find more and more and more, like I've done now. This is so fantastic. Mushrooms are very good to eat, and I will show you how I prepare the mushrooms. It's quite easy actually. So what I do is I simmer away all the water before I add butter. And as this is like a cooking program, the real mushrooms I picked today are still out there. These are from yesterday. It's important that the pan isn't too hot, but you should boil all the water out of the mushrooms. This can take some while. And then I'll add some salt and pepper. And voila, your mushroom is done. So this is Field Messenger Susanne signing off from Runmarö, Sweden. Bon appetit.
In Staten Island, New York, wetlands are decreasing, endangering the local ecosystem and way of life. UNN Field Messenger Irene interviews one of the local advocates about this issue.
Hello everyone, I'm Irene and I am a field messenger for United Network News. I'm here in Staten Island reporting an issue with the Staten Island wetlands. I'm here with Gabriella Velarde Ward, who is the co-founder of the Staten Island Coalition of Wetlands and Forests. Thank you for joining me.
Well, and let me just say that we've been around for 7 years. It's a problem with wetlands that's been going on much longer than that. People really don't and still don't recognize the importance of wetlands. We're fighting now the destruction of 325 acres along the west shore of Staten Island because with sea level rise, potential rainstorms, and other forms of climate change, this whole west side is going to be underwater.
So the impact of development is going to impact our community.
Oh, absolutely. The Granite Hill wetland was the last location that the eastern mud turtle was seen. We have another endangered species, a new species. It's just newly discovered and, of course, endangered. And there is the Atlantic coast leopard frog, which is newly discovered and endangered.
And what is the cost of destroying the wetlands as opposed to reserve?
It costs, and this doesn't include a lot of things, it costs $500,000 a year for the community that loses the wetland. And that's not with destroyed houses, that's not with flooding costs, hospitalizations, it's insurance that we have to pay now and we can't afford.
Well, thank you for that information and the update. Thank you for the accomplishment.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Looking for a greener, wallet-friendly way to live? Earthen homes might just be the cozy environmental solution. Made from natural resources like clay, sand, and straw, these homes are the ultimate blend of sustainability and style. But are they a good match for you and your family? Let's dig in and find out.
Earthen homes are built using natural, sustainable materials, often locally sourced, which makes them eco-friendly and cost-effective. The main materials include clay, which binds the structure together, sand for added strength and stability, and straw or other fibers, which enhance flexibility and prevent cracking. Depending on the construction method, additional materials like gravel, lime, or wood may be used for foundations, reinforcements, or roofing. These materials are not only abundant and biodegradable, but also offer excellent insulation and breathability, creating homes that are both durable and comfortable in most climates.
Do you know that you can make all of this from just clay, sand, lime, and straw? You can make earthen floors that are strong, durable, super cheap, and ground you in every step. They can also be washable. You can make earthen walls with clay or lime plaster that don't trap humidity and don't create mold. You can incorporate art into the walls. You can even build really cool things like bed bases. And the lime Cadillac technique can help you create waterproof surfaces like showers and baths. And even countertops that are a fraction of the price of ones that you can buy. You can create your own paints of different colors of clay, and they won't release microplastics into your home. You can create any furniture that you want and have it built in, and it's super cheap. With natural materials, you can create beautiful, modern spaces exactly to your style, and your home will be much more affordable and sustainable.
Earthen homes aren't a new concept. Humanity has used earth as a building material for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations all over the world leaned on earth as their go-to building material. From the adobe homes of Mesopotamia to the rammed earth walls of China and the charming cob cottages of Europe, people used what was right under their feet. In the American Southwest, indigenous communities created adobe homes that blended beautifully with their environment, while in Africa, mud brick buildings formed the foundation of early towns. These homes weren't just practical. They were smartly adapted to local climates, keeping things comfortable long before modern tech came along. Dirt was the original DIY material. So why are most homes in the Western world now so different? The shift away from earthen homes happened gradually, driven by industrialization, urbanization, and changing construction priorities. As cities expanded and populations grew, materials like concrete, steel, and brick became popular because they allowed for faster, larger-scale building projects. The rise of mass production and transportation made these materials more accessible and affordable, while the introduction of modern insulation and heating systems reduced the need for natural thermal regulation. While these innovations were efficient and convenient, they came at a cost.
There's increasing evidence that modern buildings compromise our psychological and emotional health as well as our physical well-being. As we've noted, right angles and flat surfaces that are all in one color and constant uniformity don't exist in the natural world which our ancestors evolved. These traits may trigger a subconscious reaction that tells us there's something wrong here, keeping us nervous and stressed. Most modern homes don't successfully stimulate our senses with the variety of patterns, shapes, textures, smells, and sounds that our pre-industrial ancestors experienced. The monotony of our built environments probably contributes to our addiction to sensory stimulation through drugs and electronic media. From Toronto to Tapatula in Australia and Algeria, almost every individual we have met who lives in Earth, even though modern day people are conditioned to prefer the new, the shiny, the predictable, we respond at a deep level to unprocessed materials, to idiosyncrasy, and to the personal thought and care expressed by craftsmanship.
But is building an earthen home really practical? Well, that depends on where you live. A recent study from the Delft University of Technology shows about 1 in 10 people on the planet currently live in an earthen home. For some, it's a choice. For others, a necessity. In the West, the cost of building an earthen home can vary wildly depending on factors like location, design complexity, materials, and labor. On average, the price ranges between $100 to $200 per square foot, which is comparable to or slightly lower than traditional homes. Building codes are something to keep in mind. Some places have strict rules about using unconventional materials. So it's important to check out local regulations and maybe talk to experts who know the ins and outs of the system. When it comes to construction and maintenance, building an earthen home can be a bit of a workout. You'll either need to dive in yourself or hire skilled builders who know their stuff when it comes to techniques like cob or adobe.
So we started the process of putting in our earthen floors in our home. The walls are made of only clay, sand, and straw, and the floors are made up of exactly the same materials. So this is the floor that we just put in yesterday. It is still soft. It's going to need at least 2 to 3 weeks to dry. You definitely don't want it to dry out too fast, so it's good if it has the roof over it. It's nice and cool in the house. That way it won't crack as much. So if you touch it, it's still soft if you touch it. So you definitely don't want to step on it or use it during the curing time.
Once your home is up, it's not set it and forget it. Earthen homes do need some regular love. Surfaces might need resealing every now and then, especially in high traffic or weather-prone areas. Cracks can pop up due to natural settling, so a bit of patching here and there helps keep things solid. Also, keep an eye on drainage and your roof to avoid water damage, since moisture is one of the biggest concerns for earthen structures.
Earthen homes aren't for everyone, but if you're up for something a little different, they offer a great mix of sustainability, affordability, and charm. Whether you're attracted to their eco-friendly vibe or their timeless beauty, these homes give you a chance to connect with the earth in a meaningful and practical way.
Solar energy is becoming a popular choice for hotels and resorts in Fuerteventura, Spain, taking advantage of the consistent sunny weather. UNN Field Messenger Emma tells us more about these sustainable energy projects.
Hi, this is Emma reporting from Fuerteventura, Spain in Europe. Fuerteventura is a small island and mainly a touristic island. So there's lots of hotel complexes like holiday resorts and things like that. And we have like 360 days of sun. And of course, it's more and more solar panels to see everywhere. And we're so lucky that lots of the hotel owners and the hotel chains have changed to solar panels. And you can see it on the rooftops because there's so much sun, and in the summer the sun is like straight up because we're very close to the equator. It's very easy to capture this the energy from the sun. And another thing, tourists, they use a lot of hot water. They shower a lot, and instead of using electricity from the main from the capital, which is raw oil burning to create electricity, it's not good. So they install solar panels for hot water on the roof of the buildings. So each part of the hotel or the complex or the apartments have their own solar water heater. And it's become very popular, and you can see both on private homes and on big hotels. And I think there is a support from the government to switch to solar. And the latest project here on the island is like a big solar farm in one of the fields close to the airport. So you can see it when you fly over. And of course we do have windmills. They are everywhere now. And we have windmills running the water plant, the desalination of water we're switching to good energy, and hopefully soon we'll have better choices. Thank you for watching.
Now it's your turn. Join our weekly meetings and become a field messenger. More information is available at our website, unitednetwork.earth. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.